So I thought that I would update you guys on poll numbers once again. We'll probably do this pretty consistently now. It is September 11th today, so we're getting pretty close to the election. Obviously, the election is on November 3rd, so we're like, 7 weeks out? So we're getting fairly close. Now, are the polls going to tighten like literally right up to election day? It's very possible. But I thought I'd go over some of these polling numbers for you guys. Basically, a TLDR is Joe Biden is winning every single poll. Spare some like a Texas poll here and there and a North Carolina poll here and there, and even some North Carolina polls have Biden leading. But everything else, any state poll that is relevant right now that's obviously not a red state, and any of the national polls. All the national polls have Joe Biden winning, including Rasmussen, but even when it comes to states like Wisconsin and the others, Joe Biden's winning all of the polls. So Morning Consult poll between August 31st, September 9th has Joe Biden +8 on Trump. That's 50-42 in Wisconsin. Emerson polling / News Nation Now. I'm not a big fan of Emerson polls. The way that their polls come out seem to be really weird when you look at them demographically. But even they have Joe Biden up by 7 in Wisconsin, 51-44. In Florida, a GS Strategy Group poll has Joe Biden up 2. I personally have Joe Biden edging out Florida because he does well with 65-plus voters. The only thing that's going to hold him down is he does really poorly amongst Hispanic voters. But I think that he'll be able to edge Florida out due to their very aged population. This is a funny one. Even Rasmussen, they have Michigan +8 for Joe Biden, 51-43. Now, I don't know whether or not they're trying to fake people out by doing the strategy of, okay, let's make it look like such a blowout that Joe Biden supporters don't even show up to the polls on election day. I don't know if that's their strategy, because otherwise, this is a pretty massive margin. +8, if you're winning by Michigan, that's, if people talk about being within the margin of error, if you're just within the margin of error, that means everything has to go right for you to pull through. But this is beyond the margin of error. The margin of error, like a max margin of error, is typically like 5 points in a poll, which is usually a bad MOE, by the way. But if that's 5, that means you would have to somehow get that full MOE in Trump's direction, but then he still got 3 points to pull, which is a lot of points to pull. Joe Biden is also doing really well with third-party voters. He's leading 2-1 with 2016 third-party voters, and there were a lot of third-party voters in those 3 swing states in 2016. It was like 500,000. And Hillary lost by a combined like 80K, I think it was. I believe it was, in those 3 states. So if you're winning 2-1 with like a pool of like 600,000 voters, your deficit is 80K. You're looking really good. You know what I mean? It's pretty tough to lose that way. A national Monmouth poll has Joe Biden up 9, 51-42. Another Florida poll from St. Pete Polls and Florida poll has Joe Biden up 3, 50-47. Again, I do have Joe Biden edging out Florida just by a little bit. I think he'll win by between 0.5 and probably 2 points. It's going to come close. Hillary lost it by 1.5. Obama edged it out twice. So I do have Joe Biden taking Florida. There are, I just saw a North Carolina poll that has Biden up 1, but most North Carolina polls have Trump up 1, like between up 1 and up 3. Arizona polls also seem to have Joe Biden up. So practically all of the polls that are being released. Now, Trafalgar seems, which is a right-wing pollster, has seemed to really pump the brakes on their poll releasage. But ever since then, really, even the Rasmussen polls have Biden winning. And I'm talking all polls. I'm talking national polls, statewide polls, barring the obvious ones that are red or blue. Biden's winning the swing states, pretty much all of them, except, again, North Carolina has some polls that are coming out against him. But practically all the other polls have him leading. Now, when we look at the RCP average here, this is the national average. It's got Biden +7.5. But really, that's kind of skewed because of this +2 from Rasmussen that came out, which really heavily skews it. There's a +2 from Rasmussen, and then a +2 from Emerson, which is a really garbage poll. That poll had really numbers that really didn't make any sense. But he clearly has a very strong lead here. Now, I don't want to make like a super bold prediction until I watch the debates. I have to see how the debates pan out first. But as it stands right now, before the debates happen, I don't really see a path to victory for Trump here. I don't really see how it's possible. These poll numbers are even better in a lot of ways than Hillary Clinton's numbers were, but those numbers were fake because the polls were so bad in 2016. They've corrected for those now. They seem to be more accurate in the primaries, but with COVID and all of the stuff that's coming out with Trump, I don't really see how it's possible at this point. Biden also performs better with military voters, with Rust Belt voters, for some reason. So there doesn't really seem to be a pathway to victory right now. Now, literally the days before the election, is it possible that it starts to inch closer and closer? It is. And so that's why I'm saying what I'm looking at right now specifically, I don't see a path to victory. Is it possible that there be something that makes it so that the margins come in really close? Sure, it's possible. It just doesn't seem likely to me. So I'm going to back off of saying Biden's for sure going to win. But what I'm saying is, from what I'm looking at right now, it seems almost impossible for Trump to win. Now, I'm hearing a lot of people saying that Trump will win. A lot of people who are just edgesters. Maybe they're really disappointed with Bernie's loss. They're not really analyzing the situation. They're just blinded by their hatred for Joe Biden. They don't really offer any analysis. They just say, hey, the polls were wrong in 2016. They're going to be wrong again, which is really foolish and just stupid. But as it stands right now, Trump is getting destroyed right now, virtually everywhere. So this could be looking pretty bad for Trump. I mean, +8 in all of the Rust Belt states, +5, +8. You know, he's even winning Arizona in most of these polls. So, yeah, Trump is in trouble, man. He's in trouble.